This is NBC4's News Conference with Conan Nolan, Southern California's longest-running public affairs program.
On this edition of News Conference, when much of the nation cannot agree on objective truths, with outlandish conspiracy theories taking root in the American body politic, there will be consequences. Is what we saw on Wednesday emblematic of a political social structure that is coming apart? And if so, could it be the outgrowth of a growing disconnect propelled by the world of social media? We talk with Democratic Congressman Lou Correa of the House Judiciary Committee and Democratic Caucus Vice Chair Pete Aguilar of Redlands, Sarah Miller of the Freedom from Facebook campaign, and Daniel Cox of the American Enterprise Institute on the social isolation of so many Americans. And we pay tribute to a man whose dedication to Los Angeles was only surpassed by his love for its residents, remembering former Los Angeles City Councilman Tom LaBonge. Good morning and welcome to the Tom Brokaw News Center here at Universal City. I'm Conan Nolan. Thanks for joining us. We had invited 4 members of the California congressional delegation to Washington, Republicans, who voted in favor of disregarding the Electoral College votes from Arizona as well as Pennsylvania, and sought to do the same with the states of Georgia and Michigan. There are Congressman Mike Garcia, Republican of the Santa Clarita Valley, Congressman Ken Calvert of Riverside, Jay Obernolte, a new member of Congress from Big Bear, and Darrell Issa, who now represents San Diego. None of those members of Congress wanted to appear with us. Congressman Lou Correa is a Democrat of Orange County. He's a member of the House Judiciary Committee and the House Committee on Homeland Security. He joins us from his home in Orange County. So, Congressman, I know a lot of your members want something to happen as a result of the president inciting this riot on Wednesday, but what options do you have?
Here's the problem we have. 2 issues. Number one, okay, we need to protect this country. This president has 10 days left in office. Even his former chief of staff, General Kelly, came out just a few hours ago and said this man is effectively dangerous and needs to be removed from office. And second of all, what happened on Wednesday, where I was at, where I witnessed the chaos, the violence, that was essentially an attempted coup d'etat. That mob was there to stop the count of electoral college votes. That's what it was. The question then is, what do we do? Our options are limited, but nonetheless, we have those options. Impeachment again, 25th Amendment, and forcing the president to resign.
We're going to be talking about this later in the broadcast, but do you believe that there's going to be a renewed effort at looking at Section 230 of the Communications Code? That is the one that keeps Facebook and Twitter and Google from being sued for what is placed on their platforms.
You're talking about the First Amendment. You're talking about an emerging area of communication for the world, for society. It's the new way people communicate. And at the same time, we've seen the dangers of miscommunication, propaganda on social media. Is the breakup an option? Possibly. Is more regulation an option? Yes. But it has to be deliberative, and we have to make sure we do the right thing.
And I have to ask you, we heard that there was a problem when you left Washington to head back to California at the airport when it came to some Trump supporters and you waiting for your plane. Can you discuss what transpired there?
Well, I was getting on my United flight to come back home from Dulles Airport, and apparently, I don't know how, but some of those individuals recognized me and confronted me. They started in on me saying that President Trump was not the person that did what he did, was not the person that incited these riots, and they essentially encircled me and started talking other things about theories of politics that were way off. And at that point, I mean, a couple of people came up to me and got in my face. And I wouldn't back down either. And we had a little standoff till the police came and essentially, got between us. And then, of course, the police as well as the airport officials told me, take another flight. We don't want to have a fight at 30,000 feet up in the air. This morning, I found out from my other colleagues that they had very similar experiences, which was they were harassed at some of the airports. And, this is not the way Americans behave.
Very sorry to hear what happened. Congressman Lou Correa, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Next up, a colleague of Congressman Correa's, Congressman Pete Aguilar of Redlands. He's the vice chair of the Democratic Caucus in the House of Representatives. So, Congressman, you'll have a new president on the 20th, both houses of Congress in Democratic control. What is your priority? And is there any concern that your more progressive members will try to overreach with very liberal policies that could cause problems in some districts like your own or elsewhere in 2022?
Our priority should be to help our communities. That will continue to be our priority. Right now, Southern California has 0% capacity in our ICUs. It's deeply troubling. And ensuring that we have the resources to respond to that, ensuring we have adequate staffing and can pay for that staffing, ensuring that we can turn the vaccine into a vaccination in more people's arms, those become the urgent priorities. Plus, we also have to address issues that were left behind in the last discussion we had about COVID relief, namely state and local assistance to our communities who are at the front lines of responding to this. So Democratic majorities and Congress is going to look to fill that void and to ensure that we have the appropriate resources to come back into our communities to address these issues. This is urgent. We've seen it. We've seen it in Southern California for the last number of weeks, and we need to be able to respond as well as the pocketbooks of our community members and ensuring that we're creating jobs. And we'll let the politics be what they will in 2022, Conan. We're concerned about the policies and making sure that our communities are moving forward.
$2,000 checks, an increase in COVID direct payments?
I think that'll be at the top of the agenda of what we want to do, so that's what we have advocated for. That's what, shockingly enough, the president advocated for, and there were quite a few Republicans who advocated for that as well. And so, ensuring that we have those survival checks, I think, would be a very top priority of what the new Congress looks to implement in a Biden-Harris administration.
Should you try to remove the president from office when you have just over a week before he leaves anyway?
The president is unfit for office. We've known that for a while. Some folks are just getting to that position, and that's fine. But we've known that for a while. And so through whatever means we are allowed, so whether that's impeachment, if the 25th Amendment isn't implemented, then that should be a route that we consider.
Pete Aguilar, member of Congress from the Inland Empire, Democrat of Redlands, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks so much, Conan.